Hi, Iberia. How are you?
Hey, Nona, my goodness, it
It's
has
been years.
been way too long.
Way too long. I still think it is amazing, and it was just a work of God how we met. So
Yeah,
it was so long ago. I can't remember what year it was, but we met in Maryland.
in Maryland at the BAM 5K run. Yeah,
Right.
really, it was so interesting, just that story in itself, because I just had a mission to meet Beverly Bond. That was my initial reason, because I knew she had a passion for working with, Black and Missing Foundation.
Mhm.
And so as I started researching her, I learned that she was interested in that kind of organization. I said, well, I'm going to run to meet Beverly. And as I as I continued to research the organization, I said, well, there's a much better reason for me to run. Well, I couldn't run, I walked.
Yeah, we did.
We
We
both walked,
tried.
which I think is how we met, because
Yes.
we was a
Because I
little
was
bit
there by
slow.
I was there by myself. And
Yes,
that's what is so amazing. I went by myself for the first time. You went by
and I was
yourself
there by
for the
myself.
first time. And we
Yeah,
just happened to be standing beside each other. And
I
we're like, who
know.
are you with? Who are you with? How did you get here? And I got there because I'm still the director of the North Carolina Center for Missing Persons. So I was
Right.
trying to go and support this Black nonprofit because, as
Yeah,
far as I knew, all the years that I was working with them, I didn't know of one. So
yeah,
so I went, with curiosity too. But
right.
it was a grand event. Since
And
then,
there was a
I've been
divine
back a couple of
connection.
times. Yeah, I've been back a couple of times, and I've taken my family with me. But yeah, we turned it in kind of like a vacation. But
I know it.
you changed my life because we went to lunch
I
and
remember.
we were talking about traveling, and
And
I
you went to
said
South Africa.
I always wanted to go to Africa, and you just hooked me right up. I mean,
Yeah.
you didn't even have to remember me when you left. That's what I keep saying. She didn't even have to remember me. She didn't know me, but
Wow.
she still hooked me up. And after all those years, that's how the Lord saw fit for me to get my hookup in South
Isn't
Africa.
that amazing how it's this divine connection? And really what it is about being obedient, right?
Yes,
Obedient to, and we think it's like, okay, obedient to this grand thing. It was like, no, just go to the race.
do
Right.
yeah,
And so
just go.
that was our task.
Right,
And
you
we
can go
did
by
that.
yourself. That's the thing.
Right.
You can go by yourself. You're okay.
Exactly. And there's
Yeah.
something that happens when you step out on faith. God is always at the end of your faith line, for real.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a gift because of course I went to South. I hooked up with a great Lorna K. Johnson from your friend. I mean,
Yes. I
amazing
see ya.
woman. I just interviewed her about a week ago. And so we went to South Africa and I got to adopt my school. So I have a school over there now, and I've just been going back every year.
Wow.
It's just been wonderful. It's been
That's you've been going every year?
I've been going every year except for, of course, last year
Oh
and
yeah.
2019. But from the
Amazing.
first time that I went, I go back every year in November to my school.
That is amazing. And I
Thank
have yet to go
you.
to South, right? You're well, to God be the glory. Yeah, I have yet to go to South Africa, but I did have a chance to travel to East Africa in
Hmm.
2019 to Tanzania. And I was there
Okay.
for about 15 days and got to go to India as well. So,
Um,
so
that's
wow,
wonderful.
amazing.
Motherland is just so beautiful.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
there's going over your bio and following you. There's just so much to talk about in your world. I mean, you're shaking it up. But let's go back to 2020.
Yeah,
How was 2020 for you? It was a lot of transition for a lot of people. We learned a
it
lot
was.
of things about ourselves.
Yeah, we all had plans,
Yeah.
especially coming out of my 2019. My 2019 was the year of overflow. It
Okay.
literally was abundance. And so I was like, okay, well, what if this is what 2019 has? What is 2020 going to have? And then it was like, stop. Halt.
Well,
And
everything.
so I halted. But here's the thing: what I feel like what happened for a lot of people, myself included, was that we got a moment to pause, because most of us were moving, or at least in my circle, we were doing so much.
Yeah.
None of us had an opportunity to stop and really be grateful for where we were, to evaluate, make sure that this is the right path. Because when things
Mhm.
start going good, sometimes we stop praying, we stop tapping into the Father, we stop doing what we did to get us there. And so God has a way, and I'm not going to say that he's the one, he's the one that, but that stopped everything, who knows what his plan was. But I know for me, it gave me a chance to be still, to reevaluate some things, to tap back into the Father and say, okay, God, this is what I've been doing. Is this the path that you've given me? Mm-hmm. And so in that stillness, and there were some things too, you have to deal with yourself.
Oh yeah.
Right. You really had to focus on you. But what it also gave me an opportunity was to do some things that I had put on the back burner. And one of those things was my book. Right. And so I was able to focus on finishing my book and having it released in December of 2020. So that was one of the main things. But I got to spend a little bit more time with family, close knit, right? Yeah. Seeing mama every day. She was loving it.
Yep. I had mom here with me. I think 2020 was a time for everybody to just stop. We've never had to stop like that. Yeah. And so it made you reevaluate a lot of things in your life that you were like, well, is this really necessary? I was running and running and running. I did my first mini conference in February, and I had all these plans, and then you just stop and say, okay, now what am I going to do?
It also
teaches time to prepare,
you,
though.
Yeah, and it also teaches you not to worship or to worship the gift or the opportunity more than the giver, right? Because we'll be so, I got my conference. I did this. I did that. And we're so excited about the journey that we forget who set the path before us in the first place. So, if nothing else, it allowed you to know that you are not in control. As much as we think that we're in control, we are not in control. It put me in my place all the way.
It did. It made you look at a lot of things. And the biggest thing for me was, and I hope a lot of people got this, was the church is not in the building.
Woo! Yes, ma'am.
I mean, that's what I got out of 2020. The church, I birthed Testify. Testify is a child of glorifying God's works, which God gave me back in 2015. And I did not do what I was supposed to do. And so now I'm doing it. And it came out of 2020. And so, but 2020 showed me that a lot of things are traditional. A lot of things are not necessary. And the biggest thing is there's a lot of work to do, and it's not in the four walls of the church.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not saying don't go back to church and all that.
Oh yeah, no.
There's a lot of work to do.
The world is opening up again.
Church.
Yep, the world is opening up again. And so people are starting to go back, but church will never be the same, not like it was. No. Right, because God don't want it to be the same. The church has left the building, and it literally is. What it did was it put pressure on our pastors and our teachers to say, have I discipled people well?
Yeah,
to the point that, can you pray if you can't go through go to regular church? Right. You got to be able to pray at home, right? So it allowed us to think outside of the box, to reevaluate even as leaders, what we've done, take some accountability and what we haven't done, right? And then to figure out how I can, and then as individuals or as the lay people, how do I get to God for myself? Right. Because we're waiting on everybody else, you're waiting on the praise and worship leaders to get you to the cross. And God says you can come boldly to the throne yourself, right? And so that's one of the things that I was reminded of as well. The other thing I would say, because of that stillness, I think it was a great revealing. I think that's why we were having so much. It was like, we know racism has been in America forever, but it seemed like, Lord, what is going on?
He revealed a lot of people, a lot of things, and and he took a simple thing like he always do. Yeah, he took somebody that you would never expect him to use, and like his little girl said, he literally changed the world. And I mean, we're still seeing his changes. We're still seeing the ripples of what his life meant, and
Absolutely.
what his death meant. It was a change. It was just so much that happened in 2020.
Oh my
That's going to be
goodness.
forever. That's going to be forever. And maybe they'll get it right in the history books this time.
Maybe, but if not, well, now, and that's why, if nothing else, even with that, it's about, I think it goes back to that personal accountability. Even
Mhm.
if they don't get it right, if I got it right, I can teach mine. I
Right.
can
I
teach
can teach
mine what the
mine.
truth is, right?
Right.
And so, yeah,
And we
I
got
think,
Google. We can tell them all
and
the
we
time.
got
Google it.
Google.
Google 2020. Google 2020. Google 2020.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, 2020 taught us a lot. So let's get back to Iberia. Who is Iberia? What was she like growing up, and what did
Oh
she
my goodness.
want? Did she dream of being where she is today, or are you on a
Yeah.
totally different path? I know you went to
No.
Howard for
Yeah.
music. I know you love music.
Yeah. I am on a little bit of a different path, but as Brandi Iberia, my full name is Brandi Iberia Austin. Some people think my last name is Iberia.
Uh-huh.
Iberia is my actual middle name, so it's not
Right.
a name that I made up. Some people, think, because at one point I used Iberia as my stage name when I was singing and performing
Mhm.
around the country. Um, but growing up, I was always a dreamer. I was always a dreamer. I've been playing bass guitar since, bass, upright acoustic bass since 5th grade. So that if you saw a little Brandi, you saw an instrument so big that she could hide behind it. And so I was always creative, musically
Mhm.
inclined. I would sing, I would play. I had a piano, but it all comes from my parents. My
Yeah.
dad was a musician. He played trombone and guitar and bass and congas. My mom was she was an artist in her own right, so she danced with a company called Kothi Dance Company, which was an African dance company, real popularized here in the Milwaukee area.
Okay.
She also was a poet, so this is where all this creative flow comes
Oh,
from.
okay.
Mom went on to become yeah, mom went on to become a minister and a pastor, which is where all of this comes from as well.
Mhm. So you
So,
well
but
rounded from the
I'm
beginning.
well-rounded for sure. Um, so I got a little bit of my mama in me and a little bit of my daddy in me.
Yeah.
And but believe it or not, I was an extreme introvert when I was coming up. So I really didn't like talking to people. You usually would find me either playing on my bass or doing something.
Mhm.
My mom was the extreme extrovert. And so because of her personality, my dad was more of an introvert too. Because of her personality, she was the type, every time I went to a place, Brandi, sing. And I was shaking in my boots, but and I would hate it so much because I didn't want to sing, or Brandi, say your speech. Brandi, do this, and so I would get up and I would do this, but I hated it then. But what I didn't realize that it was training ground
Yes.
for me to
Yes.
be able to literally on the spot be able to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lights, camera, action. I can sing, play, whatever you need if you say go.
Yes.
Right. And so what that did for me was open doors, opportunities that other people missed because they had second thoughts.
Right. Right.
I had to have a song prepared in my head no matter where I went.
Be you always ready, honey. Be you always
I had
ready.
exactly what they
That's
say,
what
stay
people
ready so you don't have to
have.
get ready.
Yeah. Um. So you went to Howard. You got your degree
Yeah,
in music, and you still dab in music now, though, don't you?
I
Are you?
do. So yeah, well, that's probably a part of it, the busy piece. So really, what it is, as you said, so I was kind of sharing about like my younger childhood. Also an only child.
Mhm.
Went to the High School of the Arts, graduated, and then went to Howard, as you stated, and I studied vocal jazz studies, and I was a double major also in psychology.
Okay.
And so when I graduated, I got, I had a degree, in music with actually it turned out to be a minor in psychology once I graduated. And I was doing music, like I said, full time. I was traveling, opened for some really amazing artists around the world, played on some really amazing stages.
Mm.
And so then what happened after that was when I came back to Milwaukee, because I lived in Atlanta for a while. That's when I was doing music full time. I lived in California for a little bit.
Wow.
I traveled and toured Germany and Switzerland, playing and singing at different cathedrals. And in 20, if I be transparent, because we're talking about our testimony,
Right.
in 2006, I came back to Milwaukee, and everything up to that point had gone as planned, right? But what ended up happening was I ended up in a relationship that was abusive, physically abusive.
Wow.
And after that relationship, and I didn't want, that's the thing, when you're in it, you don't really realize it. And I knew it was toxic later on, but while I was in it, I was just going through it and I didn't want to leave. So in 2006, it was so crazy because he was so controlling and so manipulative. There was no, I mean, he to the extent where, and it's so different. It was so, you probably wouldn't believe it because I have such a big personality now, but it was at a point where he was so controlling. He would say, you can't answer the phone, or you can't open the blinds until I get home. All of these different things that were going on. And I wouldn't move. I wouldn't even, this is how my mother and our relationship became strained. And so, I mean, there was a suicide attempt. There's so much that I could share with that. People would never realize because I don't look like what I was going through. So in 2006, the person that would have never let me go, I said I wanted to go home. And for whatever reason, it's just, I always say it's like a Pharaoh thing. You know, when Pharaoh had the Israelites captive, and then at one point, he said, okay, well, I'm gonna let him go. Then he had to think about it, like, what did I do? And so I had that moment where this man that was my abuser drove me from Atlanta to Milwaukee. There's about 16 hours. Now, he would never do this, but I said I wanted to go home, and he was in a good mood. And he took me home, and I said, I'm not sure if I want to come back. Now, again, it just didn't make sense that he would do this, but he did. Right. And there's a lot more to the story, but I'm giving you the short version. So I drove up to my mother's house. You remember I told you she's a pastor, prayer warrior, and all the things. And then this man got back in his car, turned around and left and went back to Atlanta. All I had was a bag of clothes in my hands. Now, this was a big deal for me. I never wanted to come back because I was the Howard grad, right? Mm-hmm. I was the one that got it right. I was the one that had my life lined up. So I was embarrassed to have to come back with nothing but bags, right? I didn't have a job anymore because I was relying on him. He wouldn't allow me to work. So when I walk, but here's the thing, your listeners are gonna love this. I walk in, I ring the bell. My mom answers the door. She's shocked that I'm at the door, right? She had a group of women in the basement praying for me. I walked into a house of prayer. Y'all, they prayed me home.
Oh my Lord. And that's why you don't know what happened to him and why he did that. He don't know why he did.
He don't know why he did it.
Moving in the spirit and didn't even know it.
Let me tell you, when you got people, if you can't pray for yourself, that's why it's important to have people who can pray for you. Right. And your enemy will have to let you go. and it let me go.
Why or how.
And I had a bad attitude. I didn't want her to be there, whatever. But my mother was like, okay, go put the bag. I dropped that bag in the thing and I just cried because I didn't want to be home. But that is where my life transitioned. And that's also when I left, because I did music with him as well. He actually bought me my first bass guitar, a bunch of other things. And so I started to do it on my own. And so I said, Lord, if I got to be back in this state, then I got to do music. And probably about 4 months into staying there, I ended up doing music with a couple different bands. Stuff didn't work out. And in 2007, that was the next year, I started my own band, Iberia and Soul City. And I toured around opening for artists like Anthony Hamilton, Erykah Badu, and so on and so forth on some of the largest stages across America. Yeah.
There's a blessing in disguise. There's come up out of the storm. I'm telling you. The couple of ladies that I've interviewed, have been a part of domestic violence.
Yeah.
And just hearing their testimony of how they came out and how once you let go of that weight, forgive and try to heal, how the Lord will just start blessing you in your life. And like the last lady that I interviewed, I told her, when you look back, you can see where he was there. You just didn't feel him or you didn't see him. You know he was there. And that's how you got where you were going. And like you said, and having prayer warriors in your corner. Even if you didn't talk to your mama a lot and tell you, but she knew.
She knew some of the stuff, and she knew something wasn't right.
Yeah, she knew.
Because I'm her only child, right? So we talked all the time, but there was a distance. She didn't even know I had moved to California. There was all kind. I was homeless on the streets of Inglewood for like 2-3 weeks. It was all of the stuff. And I know in her spirit, she said, enough is enough. Bring my daughter home.
Yeah. 'cause something ain't right. That's all
Yeah,
she says.
that's all she needed to know.
Right. Yep. That's all she needed to know, but she knew
Yeah.
something
Mhm.
ain't right. Well, we are so glad that you came out of that, and we know it's by the grace of
Yes.
God, and that's why you serve him, and that's
Yeah.
why you honor him. So you created a company. Tell us about your company that you have.
Yeah, it's so amazing. Again, you would think so really that coming out of that relationship was only the beginning, to these levels and layers that was me. I think you kind of asked that I expected I would be here. Again, I thought that I might be a full-time musician. And so right now my music it's not my premier gift, but I am working on some music currently to go along with the book that I wrote. But my company that came about, which it does kind of go kind of in order, because when I came back to Milwaukee, I was a musician full time for a couple years, and I was doing some other jobs here and there.
Mhm.
And I could have had, I had full degrees from Howard. I could have been making big money, but I've always been a free spirit.
Right.
So I didn't like being like bogged down. I wanted to do kind of my own thing, right? And so I was working in corporate America for a little bit at Kohl's corporate headquarters for a little bit. And then at some point I couldn't. I was feeling very stifled creatively. And
Mhm.
so I ended up leaving the company after a few years. And I said, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And so what I started to do was just focus on my music. And so I started creating events, because in Milwaukee, again, I was a girl who lived in California and Atlanta. So Milwaukee was a little slower
Yeah.
than what I was used to. And so I said, well, if Milwaukee doesn't have the events that are up to my standard, I'm
Mhm.
going to create them. So I started creating events and doing promotions. I started doing my own flyers. I was not taught how to do it. I just started to do it myself. I was like, well, I can try this and I can do that. And people would be like, wow, who does your marketing? Who does your booking? Who does this? And then I would say, well, I do. At one point, this is kind of funny, people thought that Brandi Austin and Iberia were two different people,
Yeah.
because Brandi Austin would call and book for Iberia. And then I would be like, well, Iberia show up, I won't be there. Iberia will show up, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
And so Iberia would show up in full garb and whatever it was that I had to, for performance. And so because I understood that as an artist, you got taken advantage of if it was just you by yourself. So I
Right.
had to make myself bigger.
Right.
At some point they caught on, maybe about a year after they
Well, that
caught
was
on.
smart. That was really smart.
Exactly. But so then after that, like I said, I was doing all this stuff. So people started to say, well, who does your stuff? Who does your booking? Who does your marketing? I said, well, I do. And they said, well, can you do it for me? And so I was saying the way it's broken down is it's spelled Luminous City, CITY. So it's spelled wrong on purpose. So it's like lighting the city. And so all of the different events that we do or anything that we're attached to, it has to have some type of positive message or something inspirational. Because I was in entertainment and I was able to see the other side of things, it was very dark. Right. And so I said, and sometimes, you go to these different places and these different paths in your life so you can see, ooh, that needs to change. So I said,
Right.
I'm going to bring light, wherever I go. That was always the objective. So again, other people were asking me to do their stuff. I created Luminosity Enterprises LLC. And initially my focus was artists. And eventually then it started to grow into small business owners, because what I learned was that the same method that I was using for these artists, I could use for small business owners in terms of promotion and marketing and that type of thing. And so I said, but okay, so now I'm hitting the small business owners and the artists, the individual artists. I said, but if I'm gonna do this is how I've always been. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. And I'm gonna do it big, right? And so I said, well, I wanna be able to sit at any table. And so I said, okay, I'm gonna go back and get my MBA. So I got my MBA with a concentration in marketing, so that when I started to seek out bigger paying clients, that they would say, okay, she has the experience and the education. And so in 2012, I got my MBA. And again, I already had Luminosity Enterprises, but it just made me a little bit more credible.
Yeah.
Yep. And
And
so
a start to your resume.
little start to the resume.
Yeah, little star.
Exactly. And so while that was growing, I was still Iberia's soul singer, is what they called me. And then I went through some other challenges in my life. It seems to unfortunately come along the lines with these relationships.
Girl, they're tough. Them relationships are tough.
Yeah, they can be, or they can throw you off track if you don't know. This is what I learned: if you don't know who you are.
Right.
Right. And so that's another conversation, because this was all a journey really of self-discovery and learning me so much and so well that no one would ever be able to turn me around or change me from where I was supposed to be ever again. Right. And so, so then I went on to, again, continue with Luminosity Enterprises. And I just started to feel this nudging. Like I always had a relationship with God. But just like with any other relationship, when it starts to, you may meet somebody, it's lovey in the first, maybe a little bit, maybe you're not completely in a full-fledged relationship. And then when you get into a full-fledged relationship, some things start to change. Your life starts to mesh together.
Right.
So that started to happen with me and God, right? So the more I started praying, and I was like, well, let me read my word a little more, I started getting closer to him. And so some of the things that I was doing, while again, it wasn't anything that was shameful, but it just didn't line up with what I knew he was calling me to be. And so there was a call for ministry. I started to feel it deeply. And I was like, well, God, what do you want me to do? And this is when Saved in the City was dropped into my heart. And so initially started as a small group of women. I would call these women together. And I would say, because the thought was, well, if you think about Sex and the City, there was a series on HBO a long time ago called Sex and the City. And what it was about was a young lady that had all of these things going on in her life. She was a blogger, and she had all these things going on in her life and in the life of her friends. And she would try to figure out these different ways to resolve these issues. I felt very similar to Carrie in Sex and the City, but I said, the only difference is I'm saved. So instead of me seeking out everybody else, I was seeking the Father. So I said, that's the difference. So I said, oh yeah, kingdom solutions for real world issues. That's a thing. And so if you see the early years of Saved in the City, I'm in a yellow tutu, Carrie's in a pink tutu, so it was a mimicking of that.
Right.
I thought it was just going to be for women. And then it actually ended up evolving into something where anybody can plug into. Started as a radio show, became a podcast show, back to radio, and now I'm in the works with actually having my own channel on the streaming network Roku, Apple, and a few other places. And so again, that's kind of the path that went. Luminosity was always the power behind it, in terms of the skill. But yeah, Saved in the City has now taken the front seat.
Oh yes, that is so wonderful. I thought Saved in the City was such a great idea. Y'all have such good topics. Yeah. And you work with the single people. Y'all are always having hot topics. You like that? That's one of your favorite things?
That's one of my favorite things. Again, it always comes out of me. For me, it's always, if I don't see it, if I don't see what I need, I create it. It's the same way and in Milwaukee, I didn't see the events that I thought would be cool. So I started doing events. I didn't see anything for singles, not in the church. In the church, when you go to the singles thing, everybody bowling. You got the 70-year-old and mixed with the 20-year-old and the 18-year-old. And I was like, I don't want to be here. So I decided to create it. So Single Talk, that's what you're talking about. Yeah. That is an extension of Saved in the City. So Saved in the City, people say, they were like, is it a radio show? What is it? So Saved in the City is a network, right? Okay. And underneath the Saved in the City network, we have all kinds of stuff. So one of the things is the radio show. Then we also have like communities that you can plug into. The whole objective is that as a believer, I shouldn't have to go to the world for anything. If I want to talk with singles about what I'm going through, I shouldn't have to go to somebody who don't know God. Right. So I created a group for Christian singles, right? And so eventually I do want to do one for married couples, and it's not just relationship based. We also had this thing called Believers After Dark, where we could talk about topics that people skirt around in the church that we really, really wanted to address. The name is more risque than the actual topics are. It's really not anything. People are like, ooh, what is it? Like, no, it's really not that deep. Yeah. And so we have other things too. The other thing is it has given me the opportunity to work like interviews and red carpets. So in 2019, I was able to go to the Stellar Awards as Saved in the City Christian Network and do interviews with people like Jonathan McReynolds or Tasha Cobb and a few other amazing artists. And so for me, it's for it to be gospel today, some of the biggest names in gospel, and then Saved in the City TV. What?
I saw you. I was like, look at my girl. She finally made it.
Oh my God, that blew my mind.
Made it.
Yeah, that was the moment that I heard the ceiling crack. I feel like for years I was like trying to get through something. I was like, I'm here, I'm really here. And so God continues to blow my mind every day.
I'm sure he does. Because I mean, you're just doing so many things, and so many doors are opening for you. So your own channel and that's just, I'm right behind you. I'm trying to do some things too, but it just takes time. But how do you explain to young people to go after, to keep moving, to keep doing what they want, keep moving towards what they feel like they're being called to do?
Yeah, it's hard to tell someone anything if they can't see it. Right. So what I do when I'm dealing with young people, or just anyone, because it's not just, because you still have some people who are older who still have dreams and heart, and they feel like their age is too late for them. There's a pastor that I listen to, Pastor John Hanna. He says, "I rebuke your age." He was like, stop putting these limits. So I'll say, for anyone that I'm encouraging, I got to get them to see it first. Right. So usually the conversation goes with, well, what do you want to do? What do you want to see? And most of the time I don't know. What do you like to do? So usually trying to get them to at least talk about what they like, then that leads to what you can do. Like I was working with a young person this morning and he couldn't get anything out. And then finally said, well, I really like playing video games. A lot of them are going to say that, especially the teenagers, right? So then, well, what else can we do with the video games, right? Can you build them? Is that a dream? Could you do technology? Could you build software? Is there something else? So we kind of start talking that way. And so a saying that I have is that let's see. Now, of course, it's going to slip my mind as soon as I want to say it. You have to see it. Here it is. You have to see it in order to see it, or you never will see it. So you got to be able to visualize it in your mind first. And if they can, even after these conversations, then I usually will, send them to YouTube with specific people to start listening to. Mm-hmm. Because for me, there's things that I didn't discover about myself until I started hearing other people say things. Then I'm like, oh, yeah, that lines up, and so that's a part of the process for sure.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about that, recommending and using social media. There's so much on social media now, that if you don't have any other choice but use it.
Yeah. Especially after 2020, we were stuck with these computers. So it was like, get to know it. I got my mother, she's connected on all the things. She's 66 years old. And I'm like, okay, mama, you got your Facebook downloaded. You're on Instagram. I got her Zooming. I got her on Google Meets. Yeah. She can whip and dip with the best of them because
that's life today.
That's the light today, and she will not be left behind, right? And so that's my whole thing, with her. But you're right. There's, the thing is, we're always consuming, especially with this social media stuff. We're always consuming information, and some of the stuff can be toxic. So you have to be mindful of what you're watching and what you're listening to, what you're taking into your body and what you're saying out of it, because the power of life and death lives here. Right. And so with that, what you're watching is important. And so I do recommend, certain podcasts or certain people and preachers that I listen to. Young people like different stuff. So, the thing is, they just want to be heard. Even though they act like they don't care about anything. Right. But if you start listening to them, you just allow them to be, they will start talking and you'll want them to shut up.
I'm amazed. I didn't know you thought about that.
Right. It's like, but don't stop them when that faucet starts going, you let it come out and you listen, right? And then you guide and then you suggest. Right. And so that's kind of how I do it. And so some folks that I listen to Our Sarah Jakes Roberts is one. I listen to a lot of preachers, but I do have some other thought leaders that I really love, like Marianne Williamson. She's behind the quote, a really famous quote, that our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are glorious beyond measure. And I was like, whoa. So that's something else. So yeah. So again, so I listen to all kinds of folk.
Yeah. The internet is a double-edged sword. You can use it and it in a positive way and it will help you soar, or you can use it in a negative way and it will take you back or hold you back.
Oh yes.
So you have to be very careful, like you said, of what you take in and
Oh,
what you spend your time looking at. You know,
Mhm.
because I always tell my kids, it can't come out of you if it's not in you.
There it is.
And
You gotta get it
you
in
have
there.
to be mindful of what you put in you. You got to put something positive in sometime. You just
Yes,
got
yes,
to.
yes. Meditation is a big part of what my routine as well. And so, and as a Christian, when you say that, sometimes people get a little nervous. Like, okay, what kind of who, you know? I'm like, no,
Yoga and meditating and
no, it's not even that. It's literally just stillness. It's literally, I wake up in the morning, I greet the Savior, and I'm still. Because sometimes we get up moving. Well, okay, looking at the calendar, what to do next. Just be still, let him say something to you. Right?
Yeah.
Or I might put on some music or something that is calming, or like certain sounds like the water or something like that. And I'm just still in the moment. And then I start moving around. We don't give God a chance to download anything in us before we start moving.
Right.
Moving on our own direction.
Those phones first thing in the morning.
First thing in the morning. Right. And so, and the thing is, I gotta, because my phone do be in the bed with me. And I'll pick it up and I have to put it down. Like, no, don't you dare until you talk to the Father. Don't you dare until you say something. You know, I mean, till you acknowledge that he just woke you up this morning. Right. You know, so.
So then you have the Monday spirit drop.
I do have my spirit drops on Monday.
Wow, how do you do it? Oh my gosh.
The Spirit Drop Monday, initially it was just something I started randomly. And then there was a woman that she loved it so much. She was like, I don't want you to ever stop doing it. So she literally texts me, if I could show y'all, every Monday. And she says, Brandi, don't forget Spirit Drop. Every Monday. So I'm not saying I just do it for her. But I just say, you know what, if there's one God, if there's one that needs it, then I will get up and I'll do the Spirit Drop. And every time I do it, I'm always grateful because this is something else that I needed to hear myself. Sometimes I watch my own Spirit Drop and be like, well, yes, Lord. But that's literally, it's really just something I started every Monday to help people get their week on the right track. And what I'm sharing are just thoughts, epiphanies, revelations that come to me. It could come to me anyway. I could be watching a movie. I could be driving down the street. Someone could have said something to me that triggered something that made me think of something. And I share it with hope that as it encourages me, that it also encourages other people.
Right. And you're not one to worry about numbers. It's whoever shows up, shows up.
Yeah, for that one.
If it's just one person who you're affecting, then that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, for Spirit Drops, I don't worry about the numbers. For the other things, I do. Because there's a lot of time and energy, and the numbers equate eventually to dollars. So with stuff with Saving the City, the numbers matter. Like, for instance, I had to have a certain amount of numbers to be able to go to the Stellar Awards. Right? If you got two people subscribed, they're like, well, you gonna take a picture and who gonna see it? Right? So I have other groups where I do focus on the numbers, but Spirit Drop is just whoever comes.
Yeah. Okay. So the Stella Awards.
Yes.
When you found out you were going to the Stella Awards, you had to get makeup, you had to get costume, you had to get so much. How was that experience?
Wow. It's so interesting that you asked that, because sometimes God will boggle your mind, because I got the opportunity, but at least at that time in 2019, I didn't have the resources. Oh. So I was like, how am I gonna get to Vegas? They don't fly you there, right? You got to get your own way. They give you access. I'm like, how am I gonna do that? that? Or, you know, and I'm like, and then it was coming up, you kind of learned last minute. So I was like, oh, it's really only a few weeks away. And then, of course, like you said, hair, makeup, all of the stuff, because you have to be ready to be dressed for the pre-show, for the red carpet, for all of the things. I did Stellar Awards in borrowed dresses. I had a friend that said, no, because I was like, well, I got to get this. I don't know. You know, I didn't have a big designer backing me, but I did have a friend who could dress. Right. And she let me come to her house and she said, you take this dress, you take that dress. I came and I was dressed to the nine. And she was the type of friend that didn't make you feel like it was charity. Right. It's nice when people give you stuff, but then it's also nice when they, you know, she wasn't going around, well, I gave her that dress that she wearing on it. Nope. She never said anything more about it.
Proud to send you off.
Exactly. She was just grateful. Exactly. And I was so grateful in that. Right. And so, but again, to get there, I had to get literally, let's see, I took a bus to Chicago and caught an Uber from where the bus let off to the airport. So come on, plane, train, automobile, all of the things. They caught the plane.
To the Stellas.
Honey, I'm going to the Stellas.
I'm going.
Got on that. And then I really didn't even have money for the hotel, but I did have a girl that was going to go with me. She actually used to be my former manager when I sang back in the day. She was like, I'll go with you. I got the hotel up front. And I was like, okay, well, I can give you towards the end or whatever. So when I first got there, she had pretty much covered the hotel. So everything that I needed, I had. And then my friend who did makeup had moved to Vegas. So he came to my hotel room, beat my face to the gods. Yeah. Okay. And I showed up like I was $1 million. And so I remember the first night I was there, I was nervous because I was like, okay, what am I supposed to do? This was all new territory for me. And I didn't have access because you have to have access everywhere you go. So I ended up moving around and I got front row in this one area. I don't even know how I got up there, but I did. And so people thought I was with the media who had the access because y'all, listen, I made my own badge. I didn't even have the badge that they had. I just made my own badge. And I wasn't trying to be tricky. I just wanted to have a badge that looked like something. So they was like, oh no, she's saving the city. Because this is saving the city. So they started, but I looked the part. Honey, I had the dresses. I looked like I belonged. You did. And so then when I was standing up front, I remember saying like, gosh, I wish I can get some pictures and some interviews. And the celebrities were on the stage. I was there. So I was just standing at the bottom of the stage. I was nervous. I was like, I don't know, what am I gonna do when I get up there? I started thinking about all of these reasons. And I was like, I'm just gonna leave and go back to the hotel. Then I remembered the plane, the bus, the borrowed dress, and the borrowed wig. Did I say that too? Seriously, like literally, I was literally the day before the day I was supposed to leave, walking around with cornrows, believing for a wig. You know, I could have worn my regular hair, but I needed it to be fabulous. Right. And the sister called me and was like, well, I got one for you. I just made it, blah, blah, blah. So she was like, you have your hair braided? I said, I already had it braided in faith. I knew you was gonna call me. Somebody was. Girl, I had to borrow a wig. But then she let me have it. But anyhow, so I'm at the bottom of the stage. And I heard a voice on the inside said, you didn't come this far to walk out this door. You better get on that stage and act like you belong. So at least I was like, and I kept allowing myself to have little piece by piece. So I said, you can get on the stage, Brandi, but you ain't got to say nothing. So I got to the stage. And when I got to the stage, it was like, we only got to say something to one person. So I walked up, I'm talking to Jessica Reedy, and I actually got a couple pictures. I got some drops. After that, it was just like this weight had lifted. I felt like I was soaring, you know, because I broke through. I was where I was supposed to be. I broke through the fear and I was touching greatness. I was talking to greatness. I was fitting in with it and then realized that I've been great the whole time, right? Girl, you were great the whole time. And the rest of the Stellar Awards was just more opportunity after the next. I came with only red carpet access. By the time I had walked through, they had given me full access to everything. People were asking, well, isn't this her first year? How does she have access to everything? I said, you got to talk to God about it. Yeah.
You got to talk to my promoter about it, my
Yeah.
producer and my promoter about it. Well, Brandi, I mean,
Yeah, my the CEO.
look, have we covered everything? The podcast,
I,
but the book. Brandi, I didn't send my picture in. I don't
oh, I
think.
need it. Oh, I think you did.
Did I?
I think it might be in one of my old posts, but I'll look again. But send me another one. I'll put it up again.
Book. Oh,
The book.
book. I mean, just the way that it's put together and the picture on the front of it, it's
Oh,
amazing.
praise God.
Talk about this work of art.
Yeah, my goodness. It's a culmination of everything leading up to this point. Literally everybody. This is a culmination of everything that I've gone through, from the abusive relationship to not knowing my self-worth, to trying to figure out what's next, what my next move was going to be, to believing in myself, and in the end realizing what I was doing was journeying to love. Love of me, right? And so falling in love with myself every time I made a decision to choose me, right? So to choose a path that I know God had given me, which was like saving the city, that was a path. Luminosity, that was a path. Doing music and shifting and changing and being obedient. I think the other part of it too that we don't have in there is that in 2017, I became a certified minister. And then just this year, I'm officially a licensed minister of the gospel. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah, minister.
Yeah, hallelujah. Yeah, and so all of that was a part of the love as well, because the closer I got to God, the more I could see myself the way he saw me, instead of the way the world saw me or the way other people could see me. And when you get to know yourself in that way, no one can change you. It's like my name. I know my name is Brandi Iberia Austin, and you could tell me my name is Sally Sue all day long, and I'm gonna just be like, no, I know. And so when you know who you are that way, then, again, you're not easily swayed. I'll never go back to some of the things that I came out of. I can't, I'm completely changed and transformed. But the book in itself, 365 Days of Loving You, it is a self-love guide. It's a path to discovering your worth. And it's broken into 52 weeks. And each week is just another activity or opportunity for you to observe yourself, to observe those around you, to set boundaries where you have to set boundaries, to appreciate yourself a little more, and to include you in your own life. And this is something I was saying because I have a cohort of 10 women that are on this journey of this 365 Day of Loving You journey. And so we meet once a quarter. And so we were talking about the book in itself, and I was like, how dare we allow everybody else in the world to have access to us, to enjoy all that we bring to the table, and we don't get to participate in it. Like, I'm gonna get a little piece of me too, okay? So that's a part of that self-love piece of it all. So yeah.
It's great. It's beautiful. And so since we're going to go to a commercial. Okay, Brandi, welcome back, Brandi. We have had such a good conversation. We have enjoyed talking to you and your book. And I mean, there's just so much in your life that's going on, and we just love following you, and we're going to continue to follow you as you go on your journey, and this amazing journey. And I consider you my friend. I know you.
Absolutely.
When you get famous, I know her.
Exactly. And you are welcome wherever I am.
Oh,
Absolutely.
thank you, honey. Thank you so much. And this is my baby. This is my show that I'm starting, and I'm praying that it goes a long, long way. And I'm just so grateful to have someone like you to take time out of their busy schedule to let me interview you, for people to hear your story and to be encouraged that no matter what you've been through, no matter where you're at now, if you got a dream, you just keep dreaming.
Oh my goodness. I count it an honor, honestly, anytime somebody wants to talk to me, right? Because God has shown me.
Mhm.
I've seen the lower parts, and I've seen the glory that God has placed down on the inside of me. So anyone who sees that is, I'm appreciative. It means that what I'm doing is not in vain, right? That is
Oh,
touching
God.
somebody, that is connecting to somebody. And I'm so proud of you. Like, this is a leap.
Well, it is a leap. Thank you so much. Sometimes, like I said, back in 2015, I wasn't obedient. And then when God said, okay, testify, same platform, you must move. And it seemed like every time I heard a minister or pastor, they said something about testify and they
Yeah.
said something about move. And I'm like, he keeps speaking to me. And what's stopping me from doing it? I just
Mhm.
won't move. So
Yeah.
I decided to move. I decided to take that step. And so started a list of amazing people. And of course, you were on that list. Amazing people that I know. Of course, you were on that list.
I love it.
So
I-
I'm just so glad that you took time out of your busy schedule to spend with us on Testify. And it has been a pleasure and
Yes.
honor talking to you. Um, I would say keep up the good work, but you're doing great work. So just keep going higher and higher and higher. We're just going to sit back and enjoy the ride.
Amen.
Sit back and
Absolutely. I'm
enjoy the
ready to
ride.
go.
I know you are ready for anything and everything. And I don't know how much more you can take, but you just keep moving.
Well,
You just
but
keep
I'll say this last thing before I go, because that's the thing. That's the fear that I think sometimes people feel when they start moving into more, right?
right.
Because like, whoo, I can't. This is a whole lot, right? Let me tell you, if I was carrying this on my own, under my own might, I would be crushed,
Right.
right? This is a God-sized vision that He's given me, right?
Right.
Which means that I gotta rely on God, right?
Right.
So the moment you start to feel, and you can take this for yourself too, the moment you start to feel the weight of what you're doing, it's probably because you put it on your shoulders, right? So
Mhm.
what I got to do every night is cast my cares.
Cash.
Every night I got to say, well, God, you gave me this vision. And if you wanted to go forth, I need the provision. So I started with just me, but since then I have a team of people that
Right.
work with me. And so that's what God wants us to be able to do, to start in one place and expand. He wants us to multiply, right? Every time He gives you something, He wants you to multiply it. How do you make it more, right? And so that involves other people.
Right.
So if anyone else is watching and you got a dream, you got a vision, don't be afraid. Take the leap, take the first step, and I guarantee you God will meet you at the second.
And because if it's more than what you can see, then you know it's a God vision, because that's what He wants. He gives you something that's bigger than you.
Yes.
Bigger than you. So
Yes.
I appreciate that word, because I tell God every day, open doors for testify.
Ooh,
Open doors for testify, and don't let me miss it. Don't let me miss it. So keep me in your prayers.
of
I thank
course.
you so much, my friend. Thank you
Yes.
so much. I can't say thank you enough. It's
Yes.
been an honor, um, just to be able to sit down and talk with you, and that you would take the
Anytime.
time out with me. I'm so honored, and thank you for your book. I know this is the first, but it won't be the last. I'm pretty sure.
Woo, no, there's more. It's definitely more down on the inside. But
I
actually,
know
what
that
I'm
it is.
working on with that is a music single. So I'm gonna get back to
Okay.
music that's gonna go along with it. So it'll be a self-love anthem
All
that goes.
right.
Yeah.
All right, Brandi Iberia. Also, thank you so much, and you take care. I wish you love, peace, and joy. And you just keep moving on up, girl. We're watching you. All eyes are on you. All
I
eyes
love
are on you.
it. We'll see
All
you
right.
then.
Bye bye, Brandy. Thank you so much.